Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Lessons with Laura. If you're new here, my name is Laura Ingalls Gunn. Now this is actually the third video in a series of 3 for my Holiday Plans 2024. Last week I showed you the first part of my home tour, and in a later segment today you'll get to see the second part of the home tour. And I'm really excited. It is of my kitchen, and the theme this year is a Plum Creek Christmas. Now, some of my favorite holiday stories can be found in these special books. A Little House Christmas, there's volume 1 and 2. And in the very first video, I did a reading of one of my favorite holiday stories in which Laura gets a cape. And I will link down below in the description box so you can listen and view that video as well. So let's get started with a reading from volume 2. And this is a Christmas during the long winter. If you have never read the book The Long Winter by Laura Ingalls Wilder, it was a brutal season of just blizzard after blizzard after blizzard. And there was so much snow that the trains from the east that delivered goods such as food, flour, salted and smoked meats, it couldn't get through. So the people in the town almost starved to death. You'll have to read the complete book to see who the heroes that saved the day were. Now, in this, they've just had another blizzard and there's been a bit of a break, and they are hoping that the train with the Christmas barrel that they are expecting with presents in it will arrive. Next day, when their morning work was done, Laura and Carrie crossed the snowy street to Mr. Hartthorne's store. Mr. Hartthorne was there alone, and the shelves were bare. On both long walls there were only a few pairs of men's boots and women's shoes and some bolts of calico. The bean barrel was empty. The cracker barrel was empty. The little brine in the bottom of the pork barrel had no pork in it. The long, flat codfish box held only a little salt scattered on its bottom. The dried apple box and the dried blackberry box were empty. "I'm sold out of groceries till the train gets here," Mr. Hartthorne said. "I was expecting a bill of groceries when the train stopped." Some pretty handkerchiefs, combs, and hairpins and 2 pairs of suspenders were in the showcase. Laura and Carrie looked at the suspenders. They were plain, dull gray. "Shall I do them up for you?" Mr. Hartthorne asked. Laura did not like to say no, but she looked at Carrie and saw that Carrie hoped she would. "No, thank you, Mr. Hartthorne," Laura said. "We will not take them now." Out in the glittering cold again, she said to Carrie, "Let's go to Loftus' store and see if we can't find prettier ones." They bent their heads against the strong, cold wind and struggled along the icy path on the store porches till they reached the other dry goods and groceries. That store was bare and echoing too. Every barrel and box was empty, and where the canned goods had been, there were only 2 flat cans of oysters. "I'm expecting a stock of groceries when the train comes tomorrow," Mr. Loftus told them. "It won't get here any too soon either." In his showcase was a pair of blue suspenders with small red flowers beautifully machine woven along them and bright brass buckles. Laura had never seen such pretty suspenders. They were just right for Pa. "How much are they?" she asked, almost sure that they would cost too much. But the price was 25 cents. Laura gave Mr. Loftus her own 2 5-cent pieces, Carrie's 5 pennies, and Ma's thin silver 10-cent piece. She took the slim package, and the wind blew her and Carrie breathlessly home. At bedtime that night, no one spoke of hanging up stockings. Grace was too young to know about hanging stockings on Christmas Eve, and no one else expected a present. But they had never been so eager for Christmas Day, because the tracks were clear now, and the train would come tomorrow. Laura's first thought in the morning was, "The train is coming today." The window was not frosted, the sky was clear, and the snowy prairie was turning rosy in early sunshine. The train would surely come, and joyfully Laura thought about her Christmas surprises. She slid out of bed without waking Mary and quickly pulled on her dress in the cold. She opened the box where she kept her own things. She took out the roll of knitted lace, already wrapped carefully in tissue paper. Then she found the prettiest card she had ever been given in Sunday school, and she took the little embroidered picture frame and the cardboard hair receiver. With these in her hands, she hurried tiptoe downstairs. Ma looked up in surprise. The table was set, and Ma was putting on each plate a little package wrapped in red and white striped paper. "Merry Christmas, Ma," Laura whispered. "Oh, what are they?" "Christmas presents," Ma whispered. "Whatever have you got there?" Laura only smiled. She put her packages at Ma's plate and Mary's. Then she slipped the Sunday school card into the embroidered frame. "For Carrie," she whispered. She and Ma looked at it. It was beautiful. Then Ma found a piece of tissue paper to wrap it in. Carrie and Grace and Mary were already clambering down the stairs, calling, "Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!" "Ooh!" Carrie squealed. "I thought we were waiting for Christmas till the Christmas barrel came on the train. Oh, look, look!" "What is it?" Mary asked. "There are presents at every plate on the table," Carrie told her. "No, no, Grace, mustn't touch," Ma said. "We will all wait for Pa." So Grace ran around the table, looking but not touching. Pa came with the milk, and Ma strained it. Then Pa stepped into the lean-to and came back grinning broadly. He handed Ma the 2 cans of oysters from Loftus's store. "Charles," Ma said, "make us an oyster soup for Christmas dinner," Caroline, Pa told her. "I got some milk from Ellen, not much, and it's the last. She's as good as dry, but maybe you can make it do." "I'll thin it out with water," said Ma, "and we'll have oyster soup for Christmas dinner." Then Pa saw the table. Laura and Carrie laughed aloud, shouting, "Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, Pa!" And Laura told Mary, "Pa is surprised." "Hurrah for Santa Claus!" Pa sang out. "The old fellow made it in if the train didn't." They all sat down in their places, and Ma gently held back Grace's hands. "Pa opens his first, Grace," she said. Pa picked up his package. "Now what can this be, and who gave it to me?" He untied the string and unfolded the paper and held up the new red-flowered suspenders. "Woo!" he exclaimed. "Now how am I ever going to wear my coat? These are too fine to cover up." He looked around at all the faces. "All of you did this," he said. "Well, I'll be proud to wear them." "Not yet, Grace," Ma said. "Mary is next." Mary unwrapped the yards of fine knitted lace. She fingered it lovingly, and her face was shining with delight. "I'll save it to wear when I go to college," she said. "It's another thing to help me go. It will be so pretty on a white petticoat." Carrie was looking at her present. The picture was of the Good Shepherd in his blue and white robes, holding in his arms a snow-white lamb. The silvery cardboard embroidered in blue flowers made a perfect frame for it. "Oh, how lovely! How lovely," Carrie whispered. Ma said that the hair receiver was just what she had been needing. Then Grace tore the paper from her gift and gave a gurgle of joy. 2 little flat wooden men stood on a platform between 2 flat red posts. Their hands held on to 2 strings twisted tightly together above their heads. They wore peaked red caps and blue coats with gold buttons. Their trousers were red and green stripes. Their boots were black with turned-up toes. Ma gently pressed the bottoms of the posts inward. One of the men somersaulted up and the other swung into his place. Then the first came down while the second went up, and they nodded their heads and jerked their arms and swung their legs, dancing and somersaulting. "Oh, look, look!" Grace shouted. She'd never have enough of watching the funny men dancing. The small striped packages at each place held Christmas candy. "Wherever did you get candy, Pa?" Laura wondered. "I got it some time ago. It was the last bit of sugar in town," said Pa. "Some folks said they'd use it for Christmas, but I made sure of our Christmas candy." "Oh, what a lovely Christmas," Carrie sighed. Laura thought so too. Whatever happened, they could always have a Merry Christmas. And the sun was shining, the sky was blue, the railroad tracks were clear, and the train was coming. The train had come through the Tracy Cut that morning. Sometime that day they would hear its whistle and see it stopping by the depot. At noon, Ma was making the oyster soup. Laura was setting the table. Carrie and Grace were playing with the jumping jack. Ma tasted the soup and set the kettle back on the stove. "The oysters are ready," she said. And stooping, she looked at the slices of bread toasting in the oven. "And the bread is toasted. Whatever is Pa doing?" "He's bringing in the hay," said Laura. Pa opened the door. Behind him, the lean-to was almost full of slough hay. He asked, "Is the oyster soup ready?" "I'm taking it up," Ma replied. I'm glad the train is coming. This is the last of the coal." Then she looked at Pa and asked, "What is wrong, Charles?" Pa said slowly, "There is a cloud in the northwest." "Oh, not another blizzard," Ma cried. "I'm afraid so," Pa answered, "but it needn't spoil our dinner." He drew his chair up to the table. "I've packed plenty of hay into the stable and filled the lean-to. Now for our oyster soup." The sun kept on shining while they ate. The hot soup was good, even though the milk was mostly water. Pa crumbled the toast into his soup plate. "This toasted bread is every bit as good as crackers," he told Ma. "I didn't know but better." Laura enjoyed the good soup, but she could not stop thinking of that dark cloud coming up. She could not stop listening for the wind that she knew would soon come. It came with a shriek. The windows rattled and the house shook. "She must be a daisy," Pa said. He went to the window, but he could not see out. Snow came on the wind from the sky. Snow rose from the hard drifts as the wind cut them away. It all met in the whirling air and swirled madly. The sky, the sunshine, the town were gone, lost in that blinding dance of snow. The house was alone again. Laura thought, "The train can't come now." "Come, girls," Ma said. "We'll get these dishes out of the way, and then we'll open our papers and have a cozy afternoon." "Is there coal enough, Ma?" Laura asked. Pa looked at the fire. "It will last till supper time," he said, "and then we'll burn hay." Frost was freezing up the window panes, and the room was cold near the walls. Near the stove the light was too dim for reading. When the dishes were washed and put away, Ma set the lamp on the red-checked tablecloth and lighted it. There was only a little kerosene in the bowl where the wick coiled, but it gave a warm and cheery light. Laura opened the bundle of Youth's Companions, and she and Carrie looked eagerly at the wealth of stories printed on the smooth white paper. "You girls choose a story," Ma said, "and I will read it out loud so we can all enjoy it together." So close together between the stove and the bright table, they listened to Ma's reading the story in her soft, clear voice. The story took them all far away from the stormy cold and dark. When she had finished that one, Ma read a second and a third. That was enough for one day. They must save some for another time. "Aren't you glad we saved those wonderful stories for Christmas Day?" Mary sighed happily. And they were. The whole afternoon gone so quickly, and already it was chore time. When Pa came back from the stable, he stayed some time in the lean-to and came in at last with his arms full of sticks. "Here is your breakfast fuel, Carolyn," he said, laying his armful down by the stove. "Good hard sticks of hay. I guess they will burn all right." "Sticks of hay!" Laura exclaimed. "That's right, Laura." Pa spread his hands in the warmth above the stove. "I'm glad that hay's in the lean-to. I couldn't carry it in through the wind that's blowing now unless I brought it one bale at a time in my teeth." The hay was in sticks. Pa had somehow twisted and knotted it tightly till each stick was almost as hard as wood. "Sticks of hay," Ma laughed. "What won't you think of next? Trust you, Charles, to find a way." "You are good at that yourself," Pa smiled at her. For supper there were hot boiled potatoes and a slice of bread apiece with salt. That was the last baking of the bread, but there were still beans in the sack and a few turnips. There was still hot tea with sugar, and Grace had her cup of Crambic tea made with hot water because there was no more milk. While they were eating, the lamp began to flicker. With all its might, the flame pulled itself up, drawing the last drop of kerosene up the wick. Then it fainted down and desperately tried again. Ma leaned over and blew it out. The dark came in, loud with the roar and the shrieking of the storm. The fire is dying anyways, so we may as well go to bed, Ma said gently. Christmas Day was over. You know, I think about how so many of us scurry around trying to create a perfect Christmas, and Ma and Pa, with so very little, manage to bring joy to their girls. And of course, all of the young ladies and Ma in the house came together to get something special for Pa. And that really is the true meaning of Christmas, I think, is the giving from your heart. You know, you can't attach a dollar amount to giving. It's truly the gifts of the heart that mean the most. And I hope you have enjoyed this story. We will start the home tour next. I hope that you enjoyed the home tour of the kitchen here at Storybook Cottage. It's not a large kitchen, but it is warm and cozy and creates wonderful things. Now this will be my last video for the year. I had hoped to create one more, but I am actually now going to be working out of state the week of the 15th through the 20th. And of course, once I get home, there will be much to do in preparing Christmas for my own family. And I just wanted to say thank you to the many of you who have discovered this channel this year and have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet and you would like to be notified of future videos, you can see the little white box in the lower hand corner, and if you click on that, that will help you set up your subscription. There is an accompanying post on my website with additional details and photographs that you might enjoy, and I will link down to that below in the description box. However you may celebrate, I hope that you have a very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year full of health and prosperity. Thank you so much for watching.